Hello and welcome viewers. You're welcome to this program, Lumiere de J. This is actually the very first ever production of this program, and it's a privilege to come your way. This program is unique in many ways, but most importantly it's because it seeks to project the fact that we human beings have a capacity to deliberately live and influence our environment. In so many places in the world today, there are challenges that make human beings see themselves as less than who they are. But there's an inherent capacity in every human being to rise above every challenge. The topic we'll be considering today is on midlife. Is it the point where you sink or you swim? We'll be talking about that in a bit, but let's just start by introducing our guests for today. The very first on my right here is a man I've known for a number of years, Mr. Sola Mabogunje. Mr. Sola Mabogunje is an IT professional. He has his own company. He'll be telling us about that in a bit. You're welcome, Mr. Sola, onto the stage.
Thank you very much.
Good. And second, next to him is Mr. Tayo Ojuri. Mr. Tayo Ojuri is an aviation consultant. Mr. Tayo Ojuri has many years of experience working in North America and recently traveled back to West Africa, Nigeria to be precise. And there he's begun to do his work, trying to bring or leverage the experiences he's had, gained over many years as well. So we'll be sharing and learning from you, Mr. Tayo. You're welcome on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So welcome again, Mr. Sola. Let's start with you, sir. Tell us your story.
I think what is critical to start off with are the things that have shaped my life.
Yes, sir.
And I think the earliest time I would remember will be when I was in secondary school, King's College, Lagos. I would describe myself in my youth as a very playful person. I didn't like hard work. And I think my father kind of got frustrated because my results were nothing to write home about. I think I would come like last 30.
Interesting.
I think last 10 in a class of 30 rather.
Okay.
So I think the defining moment for me started in my third year. And what had happened was that I had failed again.
Again?
Yeah, again.
Okay.
And, but I think the turning point started the summer after my third year. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who said, as long as you hated maths, you will never pass it. Now, to show you the principle of faith, wherever you have a belief that you can succeed is where you excel. It doesn't necessarily affect any other area if you don't believe. So, maths I began to do well, but I was still flunking physics, chemistry, biology.
I'd like to take the next guest, Mr. Tayo Ojuri, who's an aviation consultant, and I'd like you to please tell us your story.
Well, my story starts with being in primary school, and we had that trip day to Nigerian Airways then, and we had the flights on top of with the captain Ifeanyi Bamali, and that experience in the aircraft actually got fascinating to me. And with that experience, I caught the bug of aviation. I wanted to be a pilot. I got home, started making paper planes, had plane pictures all around my room. But fortunately, my father couldn't afford flying school.
Yeah, not alone in that.
So with that, and I actually now I still talked about aviation, still talked about traveling, talked about geography and the map of the world. But coincidentally, to fast forward that, after my first degree, precisely after my youth corps, actually had a friend come over to where I was serving and said an airline was actually recruiting someone that should be accompanying him there. And I just actually said, what are they applying for? As a cabin crew, I said I was too big, I can't be a cabin crew. Oh, flight operations, which is doing everything but fly. I think that sits well with me. So I actually applied, and it was a startup airline, and with that, I actually got invited for the interview. He never made it, and that was how I got sent into flying school. And right after service, I got my dream of going into aviation. From flying school, I actually had the opportunity of flying with that airline, and that actually opened the sky for me. But over time, actually, that natural determination to be in flying, the airline saw, and the airline management saw that in me, and actually became one of the most resourced staff on the West Coast. And from the West Coast, actually became a star over that. And I realized, what would be my 5-10 year dream? It was a private airline. Where do I see myself? And I actually saw I didn't want to be open to this gentleman's whim and caprices. And I decided at that point to actually go improve myself.
There's a need in my view for you to reinvent yourself, otherwise you become a cake. And it's in light of that I would like to understand from the gentlemen if they've had a similar experience.
Well, I think the thing I say to people was that when I left the university, I actually thought I would be going into ministry.
Oh, I see.
But when I prayed about it, God led me in a different direction. And he had to make it dramatic to shift me. Because I did have a dream. You know, I had a picture of every human life we touch. That is ministry. I don't have to give my ministry a name and say this is Zion Church of Prophecy.
Yeah.
Before I start to do ministry, God began to change my orientation, especially as I came into Daystar. Because prior to Daystar, I would function from the pulpit. But when I came to Daystar, I had the impression to go to the background, to go to where people are. And he said, everybody that comes to you and goes past you, those are opportunities for ministry. And so I was doing a lot of ministry in my office. I was doing a lot of ministry in the background. I was, as God led me, and I realized that if I smile at you and encourage you, that's ministry.
Yes.
You know, so when you understand ministry from that point of view, you realize you don't have to wait until they say you are
a minister.
An
ordained minister as well.
Yeah? For the first time I began to realize that anybody going into ministry and say he doesn't have work doesn't understand ministry.
Right.
If you look at the number of people in Lagos and the things they're going through, ministry abounds. And so what is happening for me is more of a transition to a bigger space.
A different phase of ministry.
Yes, a different phase of ministry. And I would say that, the midlife crisis you spoke about usually happens when we lose focus of the essence of life.
Nigeria, when I came in, I was just coincidental that at the end of my program at Cranfield, a company they just had the first private airport in Nigeria, and they wanted someone from Cranfield, and I came highly recommended, and I came back on a 3-month trial session, but it never happened because obviously there were just light years difference between Nigeria and Canada. And then eventually I started communicating with these stakeholders in Nigeria and telling them what I can actually bring on board to improve the system.
Okay.
And in part of that relationship, I got invited to a major automation project with the Federal Airport Authority.
Right. And as a parting shot, I'll ask my friend Deji. Deji, are you around? Deji Olatunde was my colleague in Accenture, a company that I've worked. And Deji left Accenture to pursue a career in photography. and he's done a very good job, done well for himself. His company is called Photo Lighthouse. So as a parting shot, we'd like to give you pictures. Pictures were taken in the course of this. And I'd like to, Deji, to please do us the honor of giving. Maybe you can show that for the camera so that we see the picture. Give each of the gentlemen the camera to remember this day. That's a little gift to each of you. So please do that. Let's give it to each of them.
Right, so on behalf of
Thank you very much.
and
Lumiere de J.
I'd like to present this to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.